What's the matter, Kakarot?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Sunday morning message here at the Blurred Church of Anime. I am your preacher, your pastor, your messenger, whatever you want to call me. I am Black Star here to show you some thoughts for another week ahead. Hopefully, your week was good or even great. I know there's a lot going on last week. Every week in America feels like the apocalypse as a whole, but hopefully in the micro, what you're going in your life is better. Can't always be the case, but we're always out here wishing you to have a very happy, a very joyful life. And if last week did not reflect that, then as we always say here, F last week, this week will be better. We are always pushing for um, happier, more joyful than before. We do recognize that life has ups and downs, and so we're always looking forward to the upswing because it just can't constantly be down. And that is a reminder I tell myself all the time. Um, and so with that, especially speaking about joy, I think it's time we talked about Dandadan. I try really, really hard not to talk about anime that are currently airing or just finished having one season or two seasons or whatever, because I don't want to spoil things. I want people to like naturally gravitate to it. But the last episode of season 2 of Dandadan really kind of coalesced this inkling of something that I've been thinking about with this series and just kind of played it full front to me. So this week we are talking about Dandadan, and I promise you no spoilers except for the first episode. I will spoil the first episode just to give you like this where the show is going. Hopefully it will tease you enough to go watch it if you haven't watched it. Those who did watch all 24 episodes, especially the last one for this season, I hope you'll pick up what I'm laying down without me explicitly saying so, because I still want that magic to live for other people who are just getting into the series. But yeah, Dandadan. uh, and the topic we're talking about today is, again, that last episode, I think just really drove it home about loving yourself and the joy and the things you care about, or the people you care about too. I I don't know what I can say about Dandadan besides amazing OP, amazing EP, great animation, ridiculous fights, a bit on the ecchi side. And I try to explain it to my friends who are not into anime. It's like it is a wild ride. But for those who are not initiated in Dandadan and you haven't seen all your anime friends telling you that why you should be watching it, again, I'll give you a brief overview, pretty much first episode spoilers. Dandadan is pretty much a teenage romance. People hate when you say that, but it is. It is a teenage romance and a story about paranormal and extraterrestrial threats and just craziness. So you meet the first character, Momo Ayase. She is, good looking girl in high school, and she's just broken up with her like MT's boyfriend because she has this thing. She has this thing where she really likes this character played by this old school Japanese actor, Ken Tanaka, I want to say is the last name. Don't quote me on that. And she's trying to find a guy like that. Of course, she can't date the extra guy. This guy's like in his 60s. But she likes this, like, kind of think of like a girl being obsessed with like a James Dean type character, like really cool, kind of outcast. She's kind of like dating guys who think she thinks fits the vibes, but they all turn out to be losers. So after this last breakup, she is feeling very anti about dudes in general. She goes up to class, and on her way to class, she sees some kids in another class, kind of like subtly bullying and teasing this other guy, this kind of geeky guy, as he reads his alien magazines. And she's already in a bad mood. And she's like, I don't like how guys are just teasing all this other dude. Like, this dude is doing nothing on his own. He's like literally not messing with them, and they're sitting here messing with them. So she decides to do something. And instead of being like, I'm gonna yell out at them and say, hey, stop being weirdo, because that would just, make things a little bit worse, or it comes off as uncool. She decides to disrupt it in a different way. She goes and she sits at his desk, or sits like in the desk in front, and turns and she talks to him. So she's giving him social capital. This hot girl comes and sits next to him and starts talking to him. Now, this kid is not, people don't talk to him. He is ignored in class unless he's being bullied. Everyone thinks he's weird. He's really into like aliens and extraterrestrials. He just has magazines upon magazines of like, the tabloids about all these alien stuff and abductions. We're sitting down to talk to him as a way to tell the boys that he has social capital, like to leave him alone. He's like, oh my God, someone is talking. Is this my first friend? And he's just so excited to have a friend. And so he talks about the things he cares the most about, which is aliens. And Momo is like, okay, well, I don't really get it, but like, ghost and paranormal. And then this kid makes the tragic flaw of laughing at her, like, that's not real. My dude, you're into aliens and you have the nerve to tell her that ghosts are not real. Unbeknownst to him, he has hit a sore spot because Momo, when she was younger, elementary school, the guy she likes back in elementary school gets the other boys in her class to make fun of her for believing in ghosts and paranormal, which she does because her grandmother, who she lives with, is a spirit medium. Like, she's a famous spirit medium. And so they're making fun of her, making fun of her grandmother, and it causes her to feel shame. And while she doesn't quite tell people that she's into like ghosts or whatever, or she believes that she's seen that, whatever, she does have this source of this trauma of like being outcast for that. So she instantly picks up on, she's like, nah, you can't tell me you don't believe in ghosts and you believe in aliens. And they start arguing about whether that ghosts or aliens are real. And this culminates into them giving each other a trial of bravery, where Momo has to go to a building in Tokyo where there has been alien sightings or activity, and she sends Geeky Boy over to a tunnel where there is urban legends of a ghost. Hilarity ensues. There's issues on both sides. They prove each other right and wrong at the same time. Yeah, and so now these two are together facing extraterrestrial and paranormal threats all over their hometown. And you're probably like, where's the love story coming in? Again, remember, Momo has this thing for this actor, Ken Smith, who this is awkward, kind of cool guy. And she discovers that this kid's name, his first name is Ken. And she's like, what? Could he be the guy? No, not this George. In fact, she can't even call him Ken. She changes his name to Okaru to make fun of him being otaku about aliens. She's disrespectful. Momo is disrespectful as all get out. But over time, over the episodes, you kind of see what it's like for her to have this crush, for him to be like, this is my first friend, but also female friend. Like, it's very sweet and endearing on top of all of the alien, all the paranormal things they're getting into, and the friends they make along the way who get pulled into the shenanigans as well. With all that being said, I think there's something that Dandadan does really well outside of just like the craziness of dealing with alien threats and paranormal ghosts and trying to find your family jewels and blah blah blah. There's a lot to said about the main characters being really into a thing, um, and how detrimental that could be in general society. As we see, Okaru is constantly ignored or either bullied about his obsession with aliens, but it's the thing he really likes. It's the thing that he really cares about. He is diving deep into this world. We see Momo, even despite her being a hot girl, you know, having trauma over, first off, the guy that she likes making fun of her for, acknowledging ghosts and paranormal, and then, trying to keep that part of her hidden, although it's like a major part of her growing up and the family that she lives in. And we see other characters come around and they all have very specific interests and things they like to do and who they are. And they're all really good people. And it just kind of reminds me as I talk to the Blurred Church of Anime, I think a lot of you who are listening to this podcast, watching this stuff, following stuff, first off, you know what it's like to be a nerd. You know what it's like to be a geek. You know what it's like to truly love something and give your time and energy into a hobby. And I know there are certain hobbies that are held in higher esteem versus others. Being an anime fan at a certain time was you're weird. You're like you need to grow up. This is not something you should be doing long term. Like that's for kids. It was frowned upon. But if you were a sports fan, like if you were heavily into a particular sport like basketball or baseball in America or football, no one would tell you to grow up. That is a pastime, that is a hobby. If you spend all your money going to games, buying sports merch, following athletes, knowing the stats, being able to spit them out like you couldn't even do your math homework, but you know the statistics for every baseball team in your league, that is like more accepted in society. And I think both things are relevant and both things are good. As someone who studied fandom as a form of religion and religion as a form of fandom, I think we all have these hobbies, we all have these obsessions and things that we really care and love about, and it's just society decides if this is a good thing or a bad thing. First, I'll say that like the word otaku is very different in American context than it is in Japanese. So in America, we take an otaku to mean anime fan. It is a self-identification. I remember when I was in high school and we were throwing around the otaku with each other. This is like in the 2000s. We had a pride around that meaning. Like we understand this. We know what that means. We like anime. Even back when anime wasn't like the most popular thing, you were still the weird kids on that. But even back then, otaku in Japan has a very negative connotation. And it's not just otaku of people who like anime, it's otaku of anything. You having a very specialized interest that they think ruins your life, that causes you to be obsessed about things that won't make you a productive member of society. And there's even anti-otaku laws in Japan. And even laws now are trying to get rid of like isekai anime, which please don't. Like that is my bread and butter, y'all. Like I have moved on from my shoujo trash to my isekai trash. I don't need that to change. But there are common things. You being otaku means you're not a productive member of society. And then so we get the idea of the basement dweller, the people who are possibly neats. You never, and then again, neat in Japan is people who never leave, who stay home, they don't work, they are shut-ins essentially. There's actually a really funny anime, um, Maho Shoujo Magical Destroyers, where the SEC is trying to destroy Japanese otaku culture, and so like they're getting rid of all things that was otaku, and so it drives all the nerds and the geeks underground, and they have like these three magical girls that help like rise up to free them from this oppressive rule. It is wild. It is a wild, wild, wild anime. I cannot express to you enough. The sheer level of hilarity in there. But like I like the anime because it goes through like a different forms of otaku and the people who didn't like move underground as otaku because the SAC was getting rid of them, but still had pieces of otaku culture and what they did in their work and how sometimes they had to go to the regular people, the non-otakus, the normies, as I like to say, and have them help in certain ways. Like you can get otaku around certain parts of anime culture, or figurines, or crafting. It's a big genre what it means to be someone who is deeply into your hobbies. And I do think like, and this is from my own research from the divinity school, that like you do need that. You need a fandom in some type of way. Even like right now in a lot of countries, especially in America, with Christian nationalism going on, religion, especially Christianity, is seen as a worthwhile hobby. It is seen as a worthwhile fandom that people should be invested in. We are, highlighting people who are gone into strictly about their religious ideals to certain ways. And that is like, that is uplifted here. And it's the same type of fandom with the same positives and negatives and beneficial and like detrimental parts as if you're being someone who's really, really into anime Or you're someone who's really, really into figurines. We see fandoms around gold culture, especially music subcultures, pop punk girl over here, emo culture, art rock and heavy metal. They're always frowned upon. But if you're into pop or you're into rock, we see the fandoms around certain stars, whether you're part of the Beehive or you're part of you're a Swifty. Like these are all obsessive behaviors that I think as human beings we really, really need to have. Like it helps us build community, it helps us find things outside of ourselves to focus on. And again, there are positives to it and there are benefits, but there's also some negative parts and some detriments, especially when it overtakes your life. Like I am here for us to stand out and shout proudly. I am a nerd. I am a geek. I love anime. I love video games. I love fly fishing. I love football. I love my religion. I love Taylor Swift. I love Beyonce. Like whoever it is. But then there's a point to where is it being detrimental to your own growth and to your family? Like, even as someone who's like, I love anime, I love collecting figurines, I love mecha, I love all this stuff. If I spend my last dime where I should be feeding my family or making sure I can pay my rent towards an anime thing and don't handle my responsibilities, it's a detriment. It's the same thing as if I put my last dime into the collection plate for a pastor who is ripping me off and promising me all these things that I can't take care of my family, or I put my family in harm's way because of my religious belief. Is a detriment. It really is. And I'm saying all this and getting a little bit off topic to say, like, I do truly believe that we as human beings need the thing that we care a lot about and that we are a fandom for. And I see that a lot in Dandadan, where Momo and the paranormal, her grandmother, and you meet all these other random people who are in the paranormal world, priests and rock bands and whatnot. And it's like, okay, they're so weird, but other weird people appreciate it. Like when you see people who are not into the paranormal, see the work they do, it's like, nah, that's cool. Like I never felt that way until I got involved in this fandom. And a lot of people can understand fandom because they're in their own fandoms. One thing I never get is the fandom wars. I don't understand how Trekkies can be against Star Wars people, video game people are anti-anime, anime people are anti. It's like I think if you are in a fandom and you understand what it means to be a part of a group and to have all these people gush about the thing that you love, you shouldn't down other fandoms, except when you're talking about toxicity within them. And again, all fandoms have some toxic people because some people are just toxic. It is, and we can bring in toxic flavors just of who we are. I'm not saying you don't call out fandoms for being toxic. Like I will always call out the barbs because sometimes they are unhinged. But I don't mind them being barbs. I think you should be a Nicki Minaj fan. She's a wonderful rapper. Like she has bars. Like she put out really great albums and great features. But I think when you bully other people, then it's a toxic culture we got to call out. But I wouldn't say the same about bars and not say the same about like thieves or beehives or like the toxicity or toxic pieces of that group and tell the fans at large, like, hey, hold these people accountable because they're giving y'all a bad name. Same with the anime culture. Like, I get it. We have a lot of weird folk in anime. A lot of hurt adults in our fandom who, again, before anime became cool, before, Meg Thee Stallion was able to come out and be like, no, I rock with this, before, we had all of these different streaming services and all these different shows and stations and cable stations wanting to play anime before San Diego Comic Con and Anime Fest and all these things became huge conventions when we were an underground movement. A lot of people felt like they were disrespected. They were told that they didn't matter and they were weird and they would like never be successful. And I get it, that all hurts your psyche as a person because like people are downplaying what you love. But then you decide to become weird and stay weird, or then you start to gatekeep from other people and join the family that you love. Like that is a toxic culture that we don't need here. And even religion, like you don't worship the right way. Like we believe in the same God as God, but here you are being like, but you don't pray over there, you don't speak in tongues, and like there's such hate in your own community that is ridiculous. I mean, sports is like the hardest of fandoms. Like maybe because it's the masculinity within it, and a lot of toxic masculinity is wrapped up in sports culture. But the destruction you see at the losing or the winning of a game, I tell folks all the time. I mean, I don't dislike sports. I'm a fandom girl. I love fandoms as a whole. I will get into a fandom of a sports team, of a TV show, of an artist, musical, or visual, of anime, all of that stuff. Like I subscribe to many fandoms. Most of my life work is about fandoms and how it brings people together and to tell people apart. But I can tell you being part of the sports fandom and living in a very heavy sports town. I lived in Boston for a while, and if you've ever been terrified by sports fandom, Boston will do that to you. I was a jerk. I am a troll when it comes to sports fandoms because I know how seriously people take it. So there's a lot of toxic pieces in that as well, but also a lot of like homegrown pride and honor and like a chance for if you ever go on like tailgating at sports games, whether it's college, high school, or the professional level, or even semi-professional, you see people across different neighborhoods, across different backgrounds and interests because we care about this team together. We will sit and break bread. Like it's a beautiful thing, but also you see the team across the way, the different colors, and you're like, F those people. It is crazy, but it's also human nature. And I think getting back Dandadan, I think there's something to be said for those who are the outcasts, for those who have a love for a specific thing or a culture or a median, how important it is to who you are and building relationships with other people who are fans of different things. I love the cast of characters. You get popular kids, good looking kids, the geeky kids, all having to work together over like bigger threats and like pulling each other into their different fandoms. Doesn't mean they become a fan themselves, but they become appreciative of it. And there's a joy of being able to say, I know this thing because I've been studying it for 100 years or how long of my life. Okaroon, his vast alien knowledge is very important when the different aliens show up to cause havoc. You get eventually like a mecha fan, and you get someone with sports knowledge. You get Momo there with her paranormal experience and working with her grandmother. They bring other people into the fold. Again, they may not be as big a fan as you are, but then they can understand that it's something that you care about and that you love and that you enjoy, and that is important. So I think I just want to use this point, especially with Dandadan, to say, like, hey, you love what you love. As long as you're not hurting other people and your fandom, as long as it's not a detriment to you being able to take care of yourself or other people who are in your care, be proud. Love that you find the joy in your hobbies, in your fandom, in your obsessions. I don't think I would be as happy as an adult as I am if I did not be able to like revel in the things I love. Like you see the wall behind me. I have posters from years. I find new things that I enjoy within anime. I find new obsessions. I'm always like, oh, this is my favorite anime. I, especially when the world feels like it's going downhill or going to hell in a handbasket, you need to have the hobbies that make you feel like it's still worth living, that it's still worth being involved and finding the good pieces of it. I know that some people are more heavily into it. You got to find those balances. And if you find someone, a friend who is out of balance, helping to bring them back into the real world and move personality is a good thing, but don't dismiss it. I don't dismiss my friends who are really into certain video games, even though it may not be my cup of tea. I don't dismiss my friends who are really into certain sports or certain teams, even though like I will never be a Green Bay Packers fan. I pack it up. It's not gonna ever be that for me. Most of my fun teams, like, and that's me being a Georgia girl. So like there is just some biases I will always have about fandoms of different things, but I don't knock other fans. I don't knock other fandoms because I understand like they may feel a sense of community and relief that I do within the group. And they may find joy in the thing they love. And I know I find joy in the things that I love and in the people that I love. And I'm not going to take that away from the people and act like I'm better. I'm not going to make a Akaroon, decision and scoff at someone's believing in paranoia when I'm over here believing in aliens. Like I won't make that fatal mistake. Like but I will say, like, I do believe that all this knowledge that I pull in, all this obsession and the details and the research I do, maybe in the scope of like having a real job may never truly, matter. But I do think my knowledge matters for something. Maybe I won't get that moment where I am able to take the knowledge of my passions and be able to do the thing that I pray about doing or hope I'm doing. If you're catching the last episode references here. But I do know, like, when I do trivia, my friends know when it's an animated movie or a video game or something. Like, I've literally been to trivia with some friends of mine. I was like an hour late. So we were, and I come in and they're dead last. And I come in and then we're starting to hit certain topics. Like, oh, I know the answer to that. Oh, I know that. Oh, I know. And then, like, we end up winning second place. Useless knowledge to everybody else, but because of my own interest, it came in handy. Now we have money to go use at the trivia spot again. And a lot of my friends who I do trivia with, we're all specialized in certain areas because that is like the things that we care about, or the things that we have experienced and have delved into for a number of years. So yeah, I say all that to say, and me rambling on is like, go out here and love the things you love. Find joy in your hobbies. Find joy in your geekdom and your nerddom. I don't care if people bully you for it. I don't care if it's understood. You will find your people. Your fandoms exist so you can find people. Now that we have the internet, there's no reason. And find healthy ways, healthy people to find your fandoms and get a bit of a little ideology. Like I know red pillars are really coming in and finding kids in games, gamer guys and people who feel isolated. But like, there's no reason to be isolated. There's tons of folk who are not like. There's very few fandoms I feel that are truly isolated, and maybe they are. Maybe they're really friends. I don't know about them yet. Because I don't know everything. The new fandoms, new groups come up all the time. But like, even furry culture is a little bit more mainstream. Like literally, TikTok sent me a video of a girl talking about furry Christian art. And I was like, the algorithm is algorithm today. I needed to know this. But it is what it is. Like there are whole communities. There are people who will not judge you, and maybe it may not be folk who are in your direct vicinity. Maybe your family thinks you're weird. My mom always was like this Sailor Moon stuff. My dad was like, "You're really Dragon Ball Z things. I don't understand it. Like, why are you so deeply into this stuff?" And they may never get it, but at least they let me be me, even as a kid, even as a teenager. And now that I'm an adult, they can't say squat. What I spend my money on, it is what it is. They still love me through all of that. Like my older sister is not as big of an anime fan as me at all. Like there's certain things I'm into. She plays Kingdom Hearts. She loves Sailor Moon. But when she sees something, she's like, "Oh, you would like the like." She's so good at it, and so there's so much things that we can connect on in certain levels where I know that I'm at a much deeper level into other things than she is, which is fine. It is completely fine. And like when I see things that are Disney related, I can her. We both fall into musicals. Like we find places in our fandoms where things overlap, and we respect what the other person really cares about. And I think that is generally what I'm saying. Like love the thing that you're into, the hobbies, and then love that other people have hobbies as well. And then to find try to find overlap between our fandoms. I don't want to start a fandom war. Our it's not needed. And I think what we see in Dandadan is that those different fandoms coalesce, and then we can save the world, or at least Tokyo, together. That's what I'm gonna say on this week. It is October, which is wild to me. Boy, the summer went by fast, but I'm looking forward. I'm gonna do some spooky season stuff. I think I'm gonna do some horror anime conversations. Y'all pray for me because horror anime is not my strong suit. I struggle. I love a good slasher movie. I love certain horror movies, but horror anime gets me. So we're gonna see. I'm gonna try to do at least one message on horror anime, but don't hold me to it too hard. All right. Well, until next week, I hope you have an amazing week. If you are feeling down, engage in your hobbies if you can. If you don't have the money, find a cheap way to just engage some type of way. Remind yourself that it's worth it. And I'll see you next week. All right? Bye.
The Blurred Church of Anime podcast is produced by Blackstar, aka Lauren Tillman, written by Lauren Tillman, and hosted by Lauren Tillman. Music created by EL47.